So we'll see.
But do you think are you still a bit tough fight, but you expect him to stop him?
I expect it. I say I expect it. I believe he will win the fight. I believe he'll win the fight. How he wins it, we'll see.
The thing is, with Moses' style, he could be landing some serious bombs, sharp bombs that do a lot of damage to Dillian early doors, so he can never get into the fight. So yeah, I think it's stacked against Dillian. I'm not saying that Dillian can't do anything in the fight. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if I'm looking at from the outside in and just looking at how I see, how I see both men's stages of careers, styles.
Dillian Whyte's done that. There's a difference. Dillian Whyte for me looks like a guy that's in shape to go the distance, or to at least ask questions of this young pup.
Heavyweight boxing figures are weighing in on the upcoming Moses Itauma versus Dillian Whyte showdown, with promoter Frank Warren backing the young prospect. Warren predicts Moses will come out on top, though he acknowledges it will be a tough test given Whyte's proven punching power. Confident in Moses' ability to handle the heat, Warren believes he'll rise to the occasion, and makes no secret of wanting him to win, calling Moses the future of the heavyweight division.
What is your forecast for this fight?
I think it'll be a tough fight. I know he's got punch power to hurt and stop Dillian Whyte. I also know that Dillian Whyte also has the punch power to cause damage. And the one thing with Moses, he's not that's not been tested. So we'll see.
But do you think are you still a bit tough fight, but you expect him to stop him?
I expect it. I say I expect that. I believe he will win the fight. I believe he'll win the fight. How he wins it, we'll see. For me, beating him is a big thing.
Right.
However he does it. And I want to see the other side of him as well. I want to see him. See him in a tough 12-round fight where he comes through it and boxes his way through it. He's not a one opponent, he can box, but as I say, it's a tough one. It's going to be. It's a fans fight.
Yeah, it's a great fight.
That's what it is. It is a fans fight.
Boxing analyst and commentator Ade Oladipo has noticed a striking change in Dillian Whyte ahead of his clash with rising star Moses Itauma. While acknowledging that Whyte's recent performances have fallen short of his best, Oladipo points to training camp updates and footage showing a transformed fighter, leaner, sharper, and arguably in the best shape of his career. He believes this rejuvenated version of Whyte could pose a real threat to the young contender, pushing Moses to his limits and forcing him to answer serious questions in the ring.
All of a sudden, people have seen the shape that... I saw a video, which I'm guessing you guys have seen as well, of Dillian Whyte hitting the heavy bag and doing a bit of shadow boxing. He looked incredible. Dillian Whyte, me and G-Man did the look back, didn't we? Dillian Whyte versus Chisora. Dillian Whyte looked in incredible shape there, and I was thinking, if he can get close to that, he's close to that. He's close to that. Dillian Whyte in his last few fights has been around the 260 mark. He might have even been heavy for a couple. I think he looks low 250s. And all I can ask from a fighter, this is why I get so pissed off with Martin Bakole, just get in shape. Like, skill's skill. You're not going to change a fighter from fucking where you are to Muhammad Ali. I'm not asking for that. Just get in shape. Dillian Whyte has ticked that box. And he's like, okay, if you think I'm going over to Saudi Arabia just to get smoked by this 20-year-old, we'll see. That's what I'm taking from the shape I'm seeing him in, because he looks incredible. And also, when he's firing out his jab in that little shadow boxing, his arms are so long. Like Dillian Whyte, compared to his body structure, he has overly long arms. What I'm getting at is that Dillian Whyte can box a bit as well, He's not just a brawler, he's been tagged as this brawler. He can box a little bit. Is he a better boxer than Moses? No. But that jab could be key. Jab's always key, right? We always talk about it. But one thing I see with Dillian Whyte being in this shape is that he's saying, if I can take this young boy past 6, we're going to go into deep waters that this young boy's never been before. And it's all well and good Moses saying, I'm sparring 10 rounds, I'm sparring 12 rounds. And, I was on TalkSport when you mentioned this yesterday. Fighting 10 rounds is different. Fighting 12 rounds is different. Dillian Whyte's done that. And look, sometimes Dillian Whyte's blown out of his arse. Sometimes Dillian Whyte's been beat in those 12-round fights. But Dillian Whyte has done that. There's a difference. And Dillian Whyte, for me, looks like a guy that's in shape to go the distance, or to at least ask questions of this young pup.
Former professional boxer and boxing analyst Lawrence Ouai acknowledges Moses Itauma's string of impressive performances but warns that none have come against an opponent with the experience and pedigree of Dillian Whyte. He notes that Moses, still in the early stages of his career, lacks the years of elite-level ring time that Whyte has amassed. According to Ouai, this gap in experience could prove to be a pivotal factor in how the fight plays out.
Relax. Moses has been performing under the bright lights, but what I'm saying is, still so early, he's got a lot to prove. Up until this point, I can't argue. He's passed every test with flying colours. The problem is, he's passed so easily, he's missed out on valuable lessons along the way, and he's now got a very experienced veteran in front of him, in Dillian Whyte, who's been at world level. Everybody's written Dillian off, but recently, seeing interviews and seeing training footage, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I've got to be honest, my mind's starting to shift. Let's take a look and discuss the key takeaways.
I don't think I've ever seen you be this big an underdog in a fight. You are like 1 to 14.
Dev asked Dillian, how does he feel being the underdog?
And that's what makes you dangerous. As an underdog, you're underneath, you get up at them testicles and lock onto them, and it's game over.
It's crazy really, because like I said, he's fought at world level, fighting the likes of Povetkin, Fury, Chisora, AJ, Parker, the list goes on. But in sports, you're only as good as your last performance. In Dillian's last fight, he looked terrible, putting it politely.
Has he put something in you? Because like your last few fights,
Pause.
like instilled fear, not...
No man is putting anything in me, positive.
Dillian does make me laugh. Dark humour. Maybe that says more about me. He says it the way it is. There's no sugarcoating. Dev says, is this the biggest risk he's took in his career? Which again is madness.
All of them have been massive, because you think no one's ever had me as favourite. Think of one fight that was the favourite. Just think.
Dillian's right. He's always the underdog. It's nothing new.
How do you reflect on your fight with Tete?
It was what it was. I've been walking a long, lonely, dark road for 3 years.
This is the thing. People forget that fighters go through things outside of the ring which affect the performance, but us fans only judge the performance. At the end of the day, fighters are human, they're not robots.
Then that fight for me was asking myself a question. Can I take a good walk and push through? Can I force myself to put the jabs in? He
admits he wasn't in great shape, but that fight for him was about dipping his foot in the water and seeing if he still got it. Still wants it.
I had a few injuries and stuff going into the fight, but it's what it was. But that fight reignited.
Dillian Whyte's recent training footage has turned heads, silencing doubts about his sharpness after a stretch of inactivity and an underwhelming last outing. The clips show Whyte moving with intent, firing off powerful combinations, and keeping a steady, focused rhythm during drills. His physique looks close to peak condition, reminiscent of the shape he was in back in 2018 when he emphatically stopped Lucas Brown. This display of renewed energy and discipline has reignited optimism among his supporters, many now convinced he still has the tools to compete at the top level. As he readies himself for the challenge of fast-rising prospect Moses Itauma, Whyte's revitalized form has become a major talking point, fueling anticipation for a competitive and potentially explosive heavyweight showdown.
I remember him knocking out Lucas Brown. When he knocked out Lucas Brown, it looked like he looked similar or better, which is very impressive. And I think, like Terry Crawford, people are now looking at Dillian. We'll see results. We start believing in those results. I think now people understand that Dillian Whyte is taking it seriously. Now ready for a long time. His last two opponents with Tete and Hannah, they both quit. And think that Dillian, this is last hurrah. When it's time to shine at it, why not go out with a bang? Why not go in the best shape possible? Why not? You're supposed to get in training. Okay, because you can't really predict what happens in the range. You will know that. You part of it. But in training camp, you have a team, right? You have determination, you have motivation, you have discipline more than likely. Okay? And I think that Dillian Whyte is looking great. He doesn't have the unbalanced body type like you normally see him. Big upper body, legs are small. You know what I mean? He's throwing, he's all on balance because of the imbalance of his body. But I do think that Dillian Whyte will come in to make a splash. And this is how you're supposed to look. You want to him on doing. I love the way he's great. He looks in shape. He looks like he's ready for a battle. That's what it's about.
Boxing fans and analysts agree that enormous pressure hangs over Moses Itauma heading into this fight. Many believe that unless he beats Dillian Whyte convincingly, the shine of his earlier achievements will begin to fade in the eyes of the public. In boxing, reputations can shift overnight, and supporters are quick to judge based on a single performance. A flat or narrow win wouldn't satisfy those who have touted him as a future star. It could even spark doubts about his readiness for the division's elite. That means Moses is fighting for far more than just another victory on his record. He's defending the reputation he's built and the momentum that has so far made his rise through the heavyweight ranks look unstoppable.
So much pressure now on this young man's shoulders. Like, if he doesn't look spectacular against Dillian Whyte, all of a sudden people are like, that's how fickle boxing fans are. We're so fucking fickle. If he doesn't look great against Dillian Whyte, we'll be like, he's almost got to ice Dillian Whyte for everyone to say, yeah. You know what I mean? For him to continue that trajectory, because he's like a fucking rocket ship at the moment. Going on the eye test, I think he has absolutely everything. Going on what people tell me about him, I think he has absolutely everything. Like, I hear the sparring stories. But guys, there is so much I could share on this channel that I don't. Like, so much. But I hear the sparring stories. I know who he's hurt. I know who he's wobbled. I know all those things. And he's a bad man. Honestly, he's a bad man. I look at him, it's funny. Don't feel like I'm interviewing a 20-year-old. Do you know what I mean? He just is a man, isn't he? But yet he's a kid. And being a kid isn't a bad thing in the sport of boxing, because there is that kind of fearlessness, like this youthful exuberance, speed. You're not damaged goods. You haven't been through the trenches. Politics of boxing hasn't made you fall out of love with the sport yet. So as much as people say he lacks experience, sometimes lacking experience in those things I've just mentioned can't be too bad.